Hi everyone and welcome to another card tutorial. Today you get 2 cards with one idea. I started with one card, felt when I had finished it that it wasn't perfect, so I redid the card and I thought I'd actually show you both of the cards and how I made them and kind of talk about the differences. But first we are going to talk about the supplies you need. You're going to need a card base, a Slimline card base that measures 3.5 by 8.5. For that, you're going to need a panel that measures 3.25 by 8.25, and it's important to have a panel for this card. Then you need some banner dies. I'm using the Bitty banner and alphabet dies. You're going to need some cute little stamps. I'm using the mini Meows by MFD stamps. You're also going to need some Copics to color both the kitties and the banners. And you are going to need some string and a couple brads to attach the banners to your card base. So first I'm going to color my little banners. I have cut them out in some smooth cardstock by MFT and I'm just coloring them in rainbow colors with my Copics. All of the Copics that I've used are linked in the description down below and also on my blog if you want to know exactly which colors I used for the banner. Then I am taking the letters from the Bitty banner letter stamp set that I also cut out from some smooth cardstock from My Favorite Things, and I'm gluing them down. In this video I'm using the Fawn glue, but there are so many different ways you can actually attach them. Either way, either you can use one of the glue pens that are out there, you can use those little glue roller pen, or you can actually add double-sided tape before you cut out your letters, and then you just easily just glue them down with that, just remove the paper on the back side. So there's a lot of different ways. I kind of enjoyed using the glue because I could wiggle the letters a little bit. Then I'm going to attach all of these little banners onto the little string I have here. Now I figured out after pushing through the first hole that I really needed a needle because this thread really wanted to fray. So I attached a size 24 embroidery needle, and then I'm just gonna sew this these little things on top on top of that little string. So I'm just picking them up. Sometimes I'm holding it with that little tweezers, sometimes I'm just holding it in my hand, but I'm picking them up and then I'm sewing them on. I'm going from the back and just having that little string across the top. I kind of like that way the best, but you can sew them on any way, shape and form you want. They are pretty easy to move around after you have sewed them on. After sewing on every one, I'm adding some 3M foam tape to all of the little banners because I'm going to actually attach them to my little panel so that they don't kind of move around. It makes it a little bit easier to spell out Happy Valentines because this is a Valentine card. So here is my white background. So this is for the first card. Start by trying to figure out where the middle is. I kind of just add the pencil in the top so that I can see where the middle is. And then I start adding the little banners, removing the paper as I go. That is actually the easiest way. If you remove the paper, they kind of stuck to each other and to the background and everywhere. So just taking one of those tapes off at a time made it pretty easy. This first card I did space them out, the letters I spaced them out a little too much. I would recommend trying to keep them quite tight because there's happy is kind of a small word, but Valentines it's a long word and you need to really space them apart. Then I'm going to use these cute little brads. So I'm using this really teeny tiny hole punch, that's the word. This is a Fiskars one, I think. You can use any kind of hole maker, but this one makes just the right size for these little brads. The brads are Doodlebug mini brads, but you can use any brads you want. I turn the string around the brads. I'm going to show you a much better look at that and how I open up the brads in the next part of the video for the second card. I didn't realize that I was out of screen when I recorded this. And then I'm adding, after fixing that, I'm adding down the Valentines, and I'm just moving them around. They were a little bit tight because I had a hard time actually moving them correctly, but I do add these way too far in between. So as you see here, it's hard to get them to fit on the card. And also here I choose to kind of add the little string kind of behind. I don't recommend doing that because it makes it look a little bit more busy. Another one of those things that I actually changed with the second card. But I do add secondary brads to the second string. You could use the same brads if you had bigger brads. The heads of these are very teeny tiny, and I wanted them to be teeny tiny, so I thought it was okay to have the 4 little brads, but you could use 2 big ones instead. One of the reasons why I actually did get the happy strings in between was because I couldn't fit them on the outside of the Valentines. They were spaced way too wide. Then I'm going to use these little kitties. I'm going to show you again. I had already colored these off screen earlier in the week, so I thought I used them on this card, but I'm going to show you how I color them in the next segment. I add glue to the little strings, and I kind of just put them onto the card. The glue will dry like invisible, so you won't see the glue when this is done. It will just be sticked to the card base, and here you have the little kitties looking like they are playing with the strings. And that was a part of the idea, like, oh, I want to do these banners. Wouldn't it be fun if the cats were playing with the strings? So that was a part of the original idea behind this card. When I had almost finished this, realized I had this big empty little thing, so I'm like, yeah, I can add day to it. It's Happy Valentine's Day. Before I had decided I just wanted the Happy Valentines. I coloring these letters with just a black marker. Still have that smooth cardstock, the same smooth cardstock. It actually takes up the ink really, really good when you're just doing one layer, so it becomes very, very even. I have not tried coloring like images with it, using Hammermill cardstock for the paper that I used for the kitties, but for one color, the smooth cardstock from My Favorite Things was actually really, really good. I made that little flag by doing the same thing I did for the last video that I used a flag, where I cut the flag and then I turned the flag around and just cut the end of it. But if you look at the video from last week, you can see that technique. And I'm going to try to make a video showing how to do that with flags just as a video. But that was the finished card. I felt it was a little bit too blank. The day sign didn't pop enough. The spacing wasn't really right. And I felt it a little bit busy with the threads overlapping. So I went in and made a second card about 3 hours later, something. I went off the table and then I started again. So for that card, you are going to use some other supplies or some more supplies. So first you're going to have, again, a Slimline card base measuring 3.5 by 8.5. You're going to need a panel, as you saw, to hide the brads that measures 3/4 by 8/4, 3 and 3.25 by 8.25. And then you're going to use some kind of gonna do some blending with the stencil. This isn't the stencil or the color I ended up using. I did use these, didn't feel that was okay. change that. You're going to use some Copic paper, and you're going to need the same stamps, the Mini Mew stamp set, and also some Memento Tuxedo black ink for the Copic coloring. You are again going to need the bitty banners and alphabet dies, and then you have there the flag die. The little longer one is from the Blueprints 27, and that was what I used to make that little day flag. You're gonna need some string. This is lawn fawn string that I had in my drawer. You're gonna need some brads. The Doodlebug mini brads works great for this. And you're also going to need some Copics to color both the flags and the little kitties. So we're going to start with the background, and I'm using 2 distress inks. I'm using Weathered Wood and something Sage. Again, it will be linked in the description down below. I forgot to write up that ink, but I'm starting off with the blue ink, and I'm just going over and adding like a little bit of texture, and then I'm going in and doing like very light. Some of the blending is very, very light, while some of the blending is a little bit more, I have a little bit more color. So trying to kind of balance, do some deeper colors and some lighter colors. And then I went in with Weathered Wood, Sage. Again, linked in the description, and just adding a little bit of a green tint to it. And by using multiple colors, you get a little bit more depth. Iced Spruced, that was the color I was using. You see, you can watch the video and you can see, but it will be linked in the description down below. Then I am just stamping the little kitties with the Memento Tuxedo black ink. When I'm coloring the kitties, because the lightest gray, which is W0, is very, very light. So I start by laying down 1 layer of that lightest color, and then I do all my blending on top, and then I go on with a second layer of that W0, which makes it a lot darker because it's double layered. So it's a way to, I couldn't find a pen that were just slightly darker, so then just going up over twice with the same, kind of letting it dry in between, makes it possible to kind of build up the color. But it's much easier to build up the color if you let it dry in between. I also added small pink dots in the ears and on the cheeks. And to finish it off, I'm using a white gel pen and just adding like 3 little dots on the cheeks. And that was the coloring for the kitties. For the banners, I again went over with the same colors. I actually switched out the red by mistake, but I'm really happy that I did. I had 2 reds. I had the R32 and the R35 lying in my little ceramic bowl there. Also, I switched out the color of the day letters. I used the blue that was already in the banners, and I really, really liked it. It made the day a lot like softer and felt like the banner fitted in much better with the rest of it. And it helped that the banner is still white, but the background isn't white anymore. So it kind of gives the card a little bit more dimension. And then I just glued on all the letters the same way as I did before. Here I'm going to show you, this is how I get the thread on my thin needle. I just kind of make all of the threads line up in one line, and then I just push through all of the threads through the needle, and then there you go. You have to kind of wiggle it a little bit. It's not super easy to get it because my needle is so thin. These holes are actually pretty big, so you could probably go up in a needle, but I didn't have a needle that was not too big and bigger than this. So yeah. For the happy, I'm again going in with the 3M foam tape, but for the Valentines, I'm going in with these little foam squares. They have a lot more dimension, almost double the size of the 3M foam tape, which makes the different banners having different depth. If I would redo this card a third time, I would probably use the bigger ones on the Happy and the smaller ones on the Valentines, because I feel that would weighted the card a little bit better. And as I said before, for this card, I'm actually trying to carefully make everything a little bit tighter, so a little bit less of an area in between the different banners. And then I'm going in with that little hole punch again. And as you see, this is how I did it. I hold the little, yeah, that was not a good example, but I hold it in my hand. I turn the string around it, and then I just open up the brad. Pretty simple. The brad will hold this in place, which makes it even easier, because then you don't have to worry about the thread just going everywhere. And again, here I'm going a lot tighter, because I really want to fit that Valentine's much tighter onto the card. I still give it a little bit space, so the banners have a little wiggle room or room to breathe, or how you want to say it, but they're much tighter. And you can see it here on the S that it has a lot more space on the right side, and has a lot more space on the left side too, which makes it possible to actually let the string go down on the outer side of both of the banners. I make these holes, and this time I actually made sure to make the holes a little bit inside, so that when you put the brad on an angle, you can't see the edges. On the first card, you actually can see the brad slightly, those brad wings slightly on the front side of the cards, and you can't see it on this. This little piece actually got a little bit frayed, so what I'm doing is I'm kind of gluing it down. At the same time, I just made it a little bit tighter. Just spin it between my fingers, so that it got a little bit tighter as a thread, so that I can just then put it down without having too many ends just hanging around. However, having it frayed at the edges makes it look like the kitties had time to play a little bit with the string, which is kind of fun, that too. These strings got a little bit shorter than I wanted, so again, here I would probably have made sure that I had a little bit more string if I would make this card again, but I'm quite okay with how it ended up looking. Then I'm adding the little kitties, so it looks like they are playing with the string again, and the panel is done. I just take a little bit of a tape runner on the end or on the back side of the card, and then I place it on my Slimline card base, and that's a card number 2 done. Which card was your favorite? Did you like my second one, or was the first one your favorite? I really enjoyed making both of them. This was super fun. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, or just tell me, do you like these kind of videos at all? Just post in the comment section down below. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you later. Bye!